Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of the Bad Idea Bros. So today you join us back in the shed working on the Today. Now in the last episode you would have seen me piecing this thing back together. Started as obviously a big pile of parts. We still have a pile of parts, but a lot of it's been put back together into the frame and the motor. Now you would have seen in the last episode that we also managed to get it to turn over. Oh, let's see what happens here. It should be making contact. Oh. Well, that is awesome. The motor turns over. Definitely worth carrying on with. Yeah, that's really cool. And that was obviously a massive win. So we know the motor's not seized and the decision was made to keep pushing on with the build. Now today I want to address all the plastics. They are pretty tired, they're all scratched up, they're pretty beaten and faded. So a quick lick of paint and we should be able to bring those back to life. Might seem silly to take a break on the engine and work on the plastics, but I want to see how this thing's going to look. Pretty confident it's going to run. So guys, that's the goal for today. We're going to crack into it and see how this thing looks by the end. Okay, so this is what we're dealing with. The rear covers are not too bad. They're filthy. Don't know if it'll show up on camera, but they are also all scratched up. The factory stickers are wrecked. It's not even on this particular one. Front guard is all pitted up, which I'm assuming is just road grime, and the front panel has been painted pretty poorly in a very cheap gloss black. So what I'm thinking of doing is all the silver panels, I'm thinking of redoing those in the same grey that I did the CT90 build in. I've got a little bit of that left over, so I feel like that's a good use of it. And all the negative panels, so all the parts that are inside, I'm hoping to do in black. Now that should hopefully work out okay. I've got enough paint left over to do it. So first step is preparation. Alright, now it's going to be the same process for all of the panels, guys, so I'm just going to show you on the first one, but because this has a clear coat over it, the new paint won't stick to it, and we've got, don't know if you can see, but the scratches that we were talking about before, all of those will need to be leveled out. So, just going to use reasonably fine sandpaper. I'm not aiming to get this back to bare plastic, I just need to get the gloss off of it and pull these ridges down. So that's going to be very time consuming. I could do this with a sander, but I like to do this by hand. I can get a feel of the panels, a bit old school like that. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so that's got all the clear coat pulled off. I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera, but everything's back down to a very flat base. It's probably a bit hard to see on camera. It does still look like there's some gloss on there, but it's pretty well flat. So there's obviously all the dust on it from sanding, which you guys can probably see there. So all I've got is a mix of methylated spirits and water. Give it a liberal dose of that, wipe it down just to help clean the dust off the panel, and then it should be good for primer. Now obviously not going for a ridiculously high quality build on this one, guys. We just want to tidy it up. So if I was trying to get this perfect, there's some spots like this guy down here. I'd use some high build filler and basically work on getting everything perfectly level and even, but it's just not worth it on this one. It's a nice enough bike, but it's never going to be a concourse build. So that should have the majority of the dust off of it. Once I've got it out to where we're going to paint it, we'll give it another light soak down and clean up, but hopefully that shows up on camera that there's no shine really left on that. So just going to pressure pack this one. Not going to use the gun. There's only really, what, 4-5 panels to paint. So yeah, rattle can is good enough for this particular job. So that's the next step. Okay, so that's the first coat down. It's only a light one. I'll repeat that probably 3 or 4 times and then give it a couple of coats of clear once it's flashed off. That's basically just going to be the process for all the panels that we had a look at earlier. So guys, I'm going to carry on with this, and once they're all done, we will see you back in the shed. Well guys, that was a bit of a grind. We finally got there though. So that grey paint that you can see on the panels over my shoulder there just did not want to play the game. Had a few reactions. It could have just been some crap that was on the plastic from the sanding and from the cleaning. It might not have been clean enough, but it was pretty consistent. So laid down the primer, laid down 2 or 3 coats of the colour, which was fine, and then you go to the top layer of colour and it would either react or it would react with the first coat of clear. Could be the curing time. It might not have flashed off. I might have tried to do it too soon. I don't know. The short end of the story was that a lot of reactions, which meant a lot of sanding and resanding and painting, and you get the picture. But we're finally there. So all the plastics are done. So we're now at a point where we can get them back onto the frame. So that's today's goal. We'll try and get this thing looking like a bike again. So let's get into it. Okay guys, that's got all the plastics on. Sort of. I did mess up somewhere, and did any of you eagle-eyed viewers notice it in the earlier part of me doing this time-lapse? Because if you did, give me a shout below. Would have been handy to notice. Rear plastics have come up really good. I'm very happy with how they look on the bike. Obviously got the luggage rack on and the tail light. Floor pan is on. Got that kick panel on and the front panel here. This is the problem. What's missing from there? The front guard. Now, I don't actually know if I can get that front guard on with all these plastics here. So I will probably have to pull it all back apart. But I'm just going to enjoy how it looks for a moment. One thing I have noticed though is those wheels look terrible on this. Absolutely terrible. So this rear one's obviously ruined anyway. The tyre's in pretty good condition, but the rim itself is wrecked. I think I said in episode 1 that there is a replacement for that, so that's a win. Obviously no exhaust on the bike. This one's in good condition, the tyre's in good condition, but just starting to surface rust and it's just grubby. So that'll be something that I'm going to have to do. I've got some Got some black paint left. I think I might just murder the wheels out, make them all black, shine them up, maybe put some leather paint on the tyres, we'll see. But yeah, guys, it's getting there. It's definitely getting there. I now get to fight with that. Wish me luck. Well, that was a right pain in the backside, but we've got the front guard on. Just enough room in there to get the two side bolts on and the front one. Obviously had to pull the front cover back off and disconnect the speedo, because for the life of me couldn't figure out how to get it off of the drum here. Looks like it just clips in here, but I didn't want to break it, so took the easier route, even if it was a bit more work. But we can actually say that it's got all the plastics on now. It's got the mirrors on now too. I don't know if the camera's still rolling for that, but just some cheap aftermarket ones, but good enough. But guys, she's almost back in one piece. Just needs the storage bucket in here, but intentionally leaving that out because I don't know if I still need to muck around with the motor yet. We haven't tried to actually run it, and I'm waiting for a battery to put in there, and then the cover can go on the floor. But the list's getting shorter, so things that are mentioned, the exhaust obviously needs to be done as well. That'll show up at some point. I've ordered a part for that. But I think next we're going to have to get onto these wheels because they look terrible. So let's get into it. Well guys, in my opinion, that looks 1,000 times better. Those blacked out wheels with the highlighted white writing on the tyres just makes the bike complete. It looks so much angrier than a Honda Today really has any right to look. It's come together really well, and as you would have seen in that last little montage, I've started working on the exhaust as well. Now, I looked at getting some aftermarket ones for it. There's not a lot for these bikes in the way of parts, at least in New Zealand. So I'm reusing the original header pipe that came off of it. You would have seen me cut the mount that was on there completely off it. I don't think it's the genuine Honda one. It looks like it already was something changed, but for my purposes, it's going to be good enough. So we've ordered a new can that's arrived, and we have to leave this workshop to go to a friend's workshop to get this thing stuck together. So let's do it. That's got that job done, guys. The definitely genuine Akrapovic muffler is now on the exhaust. You would have seen that getting welded on. And we decided to heat wrap the pipe. Not necessarily required, just like the look of it. So it goes with that sort of angry looking bike. Now, she's all getting very close to complete. There's a couple other little things that were done off camera. Mainly the Go Baby Go sticker. If any of you Gone in 60 Second fans out there will know the meaning of that one. And decided to do, if it shows up in the light, a custom Honda decal for it. I kind of like the melted look. Again, just something different and custom. But guys, it's as far along as it needs to be. My battery's shown up, so we're going to throw that in that hole and see if this thing's going to fire up. Well, we've got a bit of an interesting issue with this one. The motor obviously turns over freely, you guys have heard that. And as mentioned earlier, I've left the plastic bucket out to have access to the motor if needed, and it looks like I'm going to. Now, the battery's in, it's obviously charged, and we all know the procedure for these is you turn the key on, press the button, and it starts. However, that's not normal operation. Obviously the starter motor has sort of got a bit of a whine in it, doesn't seem to engage every time, that's, you know, whatever. But as soon as the key's on, the bike is trying to start. So there's only really two reasons for that. The starter motor in this is buried well under all the carburetor and everything. If it's becoming energized from a wire touching or if it's bare or something, or more likely there's an issue in the switch block, which is really weird because the switch feels like it operates fine. It's maybe a bit sticky, but it's not crazy bad. Looks like this thing's just going to fight us at the end of the line, guys, so I might unfortunately have to sign that episode off here, and in the next one we will try and diagnose what's wrong with that and see if we can't take this thing for a ride. As always, we thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.